Hello there, and welcome to this final Legacy Army List run-through. We're looking at Dark Elves. I'm losing my voice a little bit because I've been trying to get through all these army books while they've been released. But rather than release all my videos all at once like I was doing originally, I think I'm going to do them one at a time, like one a day. That's a decent frequency, isn't it? So let's start off with the special rules. Also in this edition I'll do a few side-by-sides of Dark Elves versus High Elves, so we'll look at the two factions like side by side a little bit. So the first thing to look at is the special rules, because that again gives you the flavour of the army. In this one it's spite and malice seems to be the flavour. Their special rules are slightly worse than High Elves. Their units are arguably fairly similar but slightly worse. However, when they do come up against High Elves, they get eternal hatred. So they always re-roll hits in combat against High Elves, which is mega. That's really, really powerful. Hatred at the moment, it just applies in the first round of combat, and then they get a bit tired and a bit less hateful in the second round of combat. Dark Elves, no. They've got the same elven reflexes as High Elves, so first round of combat, +1 initiative. They've got Cleaving Blow, which is sort of Killing Blow, except it doesn't actually kill. It just means you don't get an armour save if you roll a 6 to wound against infantry and cavalry, essentially. Not monstrous infantry or monstrous cavalry, importantly. Hecate's Blessing, that's different, because the High Elf one is called Isha's Blessing or something or other. What is it called? It's called Liliath's Blessing. So that's once per turn. You can roll a single failed casting roll. With Dark Elves, it's once per game a model can reroll a single failed casting roll. So you probably need a little token with an H on it or something to denote who hasn't used it yet, just for an accounting purpose. They've got the same as Elves, High Elves. They've got martial prowess, so they can make supporting attacks to flank or rear. They've got Murderous, so some of the units have Murderous, reroll to wound rolls of 1, like Witch Elves have it, for instance. Sea Dragon Cloaks give you +1 armor save against non-magical shooting attacks. So that's in addition to shields, because they just go, can't see me. Not that, but let's not talk about that right yet. So the Grand Army percentages are the same, up to half on characters, 25% on core. There's no minimum units here. If you include Death Hags, any of them, then 1 Witch Elves can be taken as a core choice. Special, half of it. There's a limit on Blackguard per Dark Elf Noble, because Blackguards are basically bodyguards for the nobles. You can have 1 unit of Cold One Knights per 1,000 points, and they're wicked. You are limited to Scourge Runner or Cold One Chariots. They're really good as well. If your general is a High Beastmaster, you can take a Hydra or Charybdis. Otherwise, Hydra and Charybdis, Sisters of Slaughter, Shrines, Doomfire Warlocks are pretty interesting, and Reaper Bolt Throwers, you're limited to them as well. You can take 1 cult, so you can take 2 Cauldrons of Blood in a 2,000 point list. Nice. Oh, and Assassins. Assassins are actually pretty good. And yeah, BSB costs 25 points as per usual. Right, so Dark Elf Dreadlord has leadership 10, which is pretty good. It's 130 points. He's got, I think, the same stat line as... I think he's got the same stat line as... where is it? I think he's got the same 7, 7, 4, 3, 3, 3, 6, 4, 10. Yeah, and does he have... He does have Strike First. He's Murderous, so he rerolls 1s to wound. He's got Eternal Hate, so instead of having Ithalmar weapons, which is I think it's Armor Bane 1 and magical, he's just got this Eternal Hatred and a hatred of High Elves. Murderous and Strike First. So arguably the Dark Elf Dreadlord's a little bit better overall. However, he's not got quite as extensive a range of dragons to sit on. Oh, and he hasn't got honours, so there's no like Dark Elf honours. You just have magic items. You can give him I think you can give a Dreadlord a Sea Dragon cloak. Yeah, you can. So that's pretty cool as well. So he's got light armour. You can give him full plate. You can give him a shield. So he's up to 4/3. You can put him on you can give him a Sea Dragon cloak, and you can put him on a cold one, which has Armoured Hide 1, I believe. I'll just quickly have a look at... We'll just have a look at the mounts. Cold one has Armoured Hide 1. Yeah, so then you'd have a 2-up save. Normally, cold one gives him +1 toughness, so it makes him toughness 4. And you would then have, because of the Sea Dragon cloak, a 1-up save against shooting. So that's possibly the best armour in the game. A nice little 1-up save there. Cheeky. Then you got some Dark Elf sorceresses. You can mount them. They're quite cheap, actually. 150, 180 points for a level 4. I mean, that's not bad. High Elf Beastmasters. They kind of whip beasts, so they give... during the command sub phase, may essentially beat up one of the beasts within its command range, which is 9 inches or 12 if the general. The command range is always a leadership, by the way, or certain things like the general, battle standard bearer, and anything mounted on a monster, on a behemoth. So it's got to be a behemoth. Goes up to 18. So a character mounted on a behemoth has a command range of 18. Or is it just a general mounted? Check the rules. I can't remember off the top of my head. Death hags are like witch elves, witch elf bosses, basically. It's a really terrible way of describing them. They've got this cool Gifts of Cain thing, which gives it like extra attacks or like can't lose frenzy. So that's actually, Witch Brew's really good. Because if you're in a combat and you know you're going to lose it because, they outrank you or whatever, you can just pop Witch Brew, don't lose frenzy. So you keep your +1 attacks next turn. So if you're going to do witches, you're going to see quite a few of these. This is how you get a Cauldron of Blood. You take a Death Hag and you mount it on a Cauldron of Blood. There's lots and lots of mount choices, though, in general. Like, you can have a Black Dragon. But Dreadlord can go on a Manticore. Manticores are pretty good. I like them. The Supreme Sorceress can go on a Dark Pegasus, so you can start to sort of try to rebuild Marathi. I mean, I've had a look at the magic artifacts, and you can't really rebuild Marathi, but you can get close. I'm going to do a video at some point in the future where I go through like how to rebuild some of the ancient characters that aren't named characters yet, so you can try and get fairly close to them. Beastmasters can go on chariots. That's a Beastmaster on a chariot is pretty good if you're going to run lots of monsters, because the base is a lot larger, so you can get more characters in range of your goading. So you can give like all your monsters plus D3 attacks, which is amazing. So yeah, Dark Steeds are quick. They're fast cav, swift stride. Cold ones give you +1 to your save. They cause fear, which is pretty nice, which means that makes him immune to fear because you cause fear. They got quite a few attacks actually, and they're okay in combat. Dark Pegasus has fly 10, so it's really, really quick. It doesn't add anything to your save though. It just adds 1 to your wound now. So actually putting your Dark Sorceress on a Dark Pegasus means it's got absolutely no armor. Eesh, I wouldn't want to do that. Especially against Wood Elves, it just die. Like, goodbye. Okay, so that's all the characters and all the mounts, I think. No, it's not, because we haven't looked at dragons and stuff. Where are the dragons? Why don't they put these things in a sensible order? Right, here we go. So Cauldron of Blood. This, I think, must be a mount, so it costs another 150 points. However, it makes it toughness 5 and adds 5 wounds. I think the hag had 2, so that becomes like toughness 5, 7 wounds. That's pretty good with a 4-up save. Nice. It's dragged along, so you need to plop it in a unit of witches to make it a bit quick. It can move 2 inches, but if you put it in a unit of witches, then it goes at their speed, which I think is 5, might be 6. And it has this this bound spell, which is range on self, and can give your witches a 5-up ward, or 6s to wound, ignore armour, or +1 attack on the charge, which obviously stacks with frenzy, so you can give your witches essentially +2 attacks. So that's the same with Witch Elves or Sisters of Slaughter. So that's really, really good. And not that expensive. Scourge Runner chariots are just light chariots. They're okay. They're not expensive. 85 points is okay. They've got some shooting. They're pretty good. Cold One chariots are... I really like, mainly because they're heavy chariots that cause fear. So they've got all the rules you'd expect, like impact hits, and they've got first charge, which are on the first charge of the game negates the opponent's rank bonus. They're really good mounts because they just give you a free 4-up armor save. Well, it's not free, it's in the points, but 4-up armor save is very good. And it upgrades your characters to toughness 5 and adds 4 to their wounds for actually not that much points. The downside of chariots is chariots really struggle to go through like linear obstacles. In fact, they can't go through linear obstacles, can they? And when they go through terrain, they might die. So, Bloodrack Shrine is its own entry. It's, as you can see, it's not a mount. So you've got like the Medusa is like a lone character that's not actually... I don't think the Medusa was in the heroes list, was it? Was the Medusa in the heroes list? No. Where was bloody Medusa? There you go. So the Bloodrack Shrine and the Medusas are just rare choices. We'll just talk about that because it's in the middle here, so it's in like the shriney bit. Again, this one's pretty good. It's got this petrifying gaze, 18-inch range, strength 2, BS 5, so fairly likely to hit. Does multiple wounds, D3, and you substitute the target's toughness with its initiative. So really good against dwarves. And no armor saves permitted, which is amazing. Not so good against elves, but really good against dwarves. And then you got the Black Dragon, which is very similar to which dragon is it like? So it's 280 points, which is very similar in points to a Star Dragon, which is the best dragon from Alt 1. Looks to have more or less the same. It's got a Noxious Breath instead of Dragon Fire. That's amazing. No armor saves. And anything that takes any unsaved wounds is -1 weapon skill. Whereas the Dragon Fire here is just a strength 4 AP 1 breath weapon that does flaming attacks. This is, I think, way better. The Wicked Claws are the same. Serrated Maw. It just gets that. Must make one of its attacks with that. Armor Bane 2, multiple wound 2, so it loses AP 2 on one of its attacks, but could have AP 2, multiple wound 2. So that's a bit of an odd choice. Close Order Fly. They hate high elves. These ones are Star Dragons are just large targets. Stomp attacks D6 plus, so they get an extra stomp attack. Swift Stride, Terror, Wicked Claws, Dragonfire, Draconic Scales, counts as full plate. 6. Okay, so the Star Dragon has an extra weapon skill, same strength, same toughness bonus, same wounds. Black Dragon's got initiative 4, so it's way higher than a Star Dragon. Yeah, so Lord on Star on Black Dragon versus Prince on Star Dragon. That looks like a really interesting matchup, doesn't it? Manticore, same as Chaos, not Little extra toughness, +4 wounds. It's got this willful beast thing, so you got to take a leadership test, and if you fail it, the mount becomes subject to frenzy, not the top. And you can give it a venomous tail, which I wouldn't bother with. But you can. It's only 15 points, so it's not it's not mandatory. So you got your sorceresses. We've been through all the characters. We then had a look at mounts. Did we miss anything? No, we haven't been through all the characters, have we? Forgot about assassins. Cool. Right. So assassins, they are hidden in a unit whose troop type is infantry and not harpies. Difficult to disguise yourself as a naked, bare-breasted, flappy thing of doom and terror. You make a note of which unit each assassin is hidden within. Maybe revealed at any start of turn, sub-phase, or the start of any combat phase. So somebody's charged you, and you go, out pops my assassin, who has strike first. So he gets to have a go at you first. It has one of the forbidden poisons, which we'll talk about in a sec. They're just here. And if you don't reveal it at some point, it just dies, and it can't be the general. So that means you've got to take another character to be the general. So what does its poisons do? Black Lotus is for each wound it does. The character suffers -1 modifier to leadership. So that's like an anti-character sort of one. Dark Venom is the character has killing blow with 3 attacks. I mean, you could give it an additional hand weapon, so 4 attacks. Weapon skill 8 is very high, so you're probably going to hit with 3 attacks. So therefore, you've got more or less a 50-50 chance of getting a killing blow. So that's pretty good. I suppose Dark Venom's pretty good in challenges because you're going to strike first. And you've more or less got a 50-50 chance of just killing whatever you're challenging, just stone dead. And Manbane, when making a roll to wound, a roll of... I don't know, that should be called Giant Bane, really, with that roll. Anyway, roll to wound, roll of 4 up is always a success, regardless of the target's toughness. So I think Dark Venom is probably the best, and it's only 15-point upgrade, so you get up to 95. Additional hand weapon, 98. You're not going to do repeater handbow because you're not going to need it. Yeah, so 98. I don't know whether I'd include them. There seems to be a lot that's better. I mean, they are cool, though. So you could bait somebody into charging their massive, like Grimgore Ironhide New Orc thing, and then out pops the assassin and just slits its throat. Cool. So then we've got the City Guard. These are a core choice. They're just your normal warriors with spears, repeater crossbowmen. You can give them veteran, which is reroll leadership tests, not break tests, but reroll leadership tests. So that's basically panic, fear, blah 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 blah. I mean, they're pretty cool. They're quite cheap, actually. They're quite reliable. You then got Black Art Corsairs, which are nowhere near as good as Laverne Sea Guard, but still pretty cool because they got they got move through cover. They got open order, which is a very useful ability. They hate high elves. They don't have eternal hatred, so that's something that's probably worth pointing out, that not all the models have eternal hatred of high elves. So the noble definitely does have eternal hatred. So is it just all the characters have eternal hatred, I think? Yeah. Seems to be so far. I think Blackguards might as well. So they've also got the martial prowess, so they can support to the side and so on and so forth. Do high elves have the... where is it? Do high elves have regiments and stuff with these guys? Yeah, they do. They have regiments and detachments. Dark elves don't have them. So regiments and detachments, basically you have a regimental unit, so spearmen, and then you're allowed to attach 2 up to half strength units. Like, so for instance, if you've got 20 elven spearmen, you can have 2 up to, the minimum's 5, maximum's half the regimental. So you can have 5 to... So if you have 20 spearmen, you can have 5 to 10 archers just kind of sitting either side. And then basically they can do charge reactions as well. One of the charge reactions being like a counter charge almost. So you know, your big unit of spears gets charged. One of them stands and shoots, the other flanks and wipes out their rank bonus, which is pretty cool. These don't have it though, so that's a bit odd, but whatever. You got Black Ark Corsairs I've already talked about. They're pretty cool. I quite like them. You got Blackguards, who are like the guardians of the nobility. They're kind of like the equivalent of in the High Elf list, not swordmasters, Phoenix Guard. So these should be about the same as these. So they're 1 point cheaper. Okay, same size base. Phoenix Guard can be unit size 5. These must be 10. They've got Dread Halberds, which are the same pretty much. Same amount of attacks. Same stat line and profile. Same cost for all that kind of stuff. They can also upgrade to Drilled, Magic Standard, Tower Master. Oh, no, Tower Master can have a more expensive magic item. They've both got Elven Reflexes, Stubborn. These have got Stubborn. They've got Veteran. So Phoenix Guard can reroll. Phoenix Guard also cause fear. Oh, that's interesting. So Blackguard against Phoenix Guard. Phoenix Guard cause fear, so the Blackguard have to roll fear tests. Oh, no. Blackguard are immune to psychology, so they don't. They're not immune to psychology. Oh, that's really interesting. So they've kind of set them up to be like each other's foil. So the Phoenix Guard's cool thing is that they cause fear because they're quite terrifying. They've also got this Witness to Destiny, which is a 6 at ward save, and these guys have got like ceremonial halberds, which are on page 187, apparently. Where's 187? Ceremonial halberds. Strength +1, AP 1, Armor Bane 1, Fighting Extra Rank, requires 2 hands. Oh, so these are magical, these ain't. Right. So they're quite similar, but there's like little subtle differences, which I really, really like, because it sort of shows how the High Elves and the Dark Elves have kind of diverged a little bit, but they're fundamentally more or less the same. Then you got the Harganeth Executioners, which are a bit like Swordmasters, but nowhere near as good. So the Swordmasters of Hoeth are essentially like the guard of the wizards in the High Elf society. So the Sentinels of the White Tower. It says here. Apologies, my voice is going. The Swordmasters are exemplars of the martial arts, capable of incredible feats of arms. At the White Tower of Hoeth, the greatest seat of learning in the world, these warrior scholars train arduously, mastering every nuance and facet of sword fighting. Yeah. So anyway, what have they? These guys, they've got Cleaving Blow, Harganeth. So they got Cleaving Blow from their great swords, so they've both got it. That's really it. So the Swordmasters get Cleaving Blow if they're just using their hand. I mean, there's absolutely no reason why they wouldn't use the Swords of Hoeth, because I think Swords of Hoeth are slightly better as well. Where the bloody hell is it? Yeah, Swords of Hoeth. Now they're magical. Both require 2 hands. These have Cleaving Blow, but they've got it as part of their stat line. Harganeth, the Greatsword, is only AP 1. This is AP 2. How very weird. Swordmasters of Hoeth. Right, Hoeth. Harganeth. So yeah, they can be drilled as well. It's cheaper for them to be drilled. And Swordmasters are cheaper in general. They've got 1 lower leadership, 1 higher initiative, 1 better weapon skill. Oh, Swordmasters are strength 3, Executioners are strength 4. So these are like strength 6 in combat. These guys are strength 5, but these are AP 1, these are AP 2. They've both basically got 6s to wound. These have execution have murderous, which means they reroll ones to wound, which means their wound rolls are slightly more reliable. Both close order, both got elven reflexes, but swordmasters would go first. They've got Valor of Ages. 6 at ward against non-magical shooting. Their champion may take more magic weapons, and drilled costs less. Fascinating, isn't it? How like the little subtle differences. What does Valor of the Ages and Ithalmar armor do? Can't remember. Read it ages ago. Reroll panic tests caused by taking heavy casualties or being fled through by a friendly unit. Ithalmar armor. Reroll 1 when making dangerous terrain. Alright, well, whatever. And then also, we got Shadow Warriors back? Yes. So that's essentially the counterpoint to Shades. So Shadow Warriors and Shades are sort of both opposite sides of the same coin as well. So let's have a look at those. So those side by side. Shades are more expensive. They both have elven reflexes. Evasive means you can flee and then automatically rally when somebody's shooting at you. Shadow Warriors also have fire and flee. They can also upgrade to feigned flight. So a charge reaction for them could be fire, run away, and then automatically rally because of feigned flight, which, 0 to 1 unit in your army may have the whatever rule. You're pretty much always going to take feigned flight if you're going to take Shadow Warriors, I'd have thought. Stat line looks exactly the same. Yep. Move through cover. Presumably they've got that as well. Yeah, these have got scouts. Yeah, scouts and skirmishers. Shadow Warriors are veterans, which means they get to reroll leadership checks and not break checks. Ithalmar weapons. Can't remember what they do. I've literally just looked at it. These, you can upgrade Shades to veterans, but they don't get fire and rally. You can also upgrade them to ambushes and chariot runners, so that's pretty similar. They've already got light armor for 14 points. You have to pay an extra point for Dark Elves to go up to light armor. Shadow Warriors, yeah, it's interesting like comparing them side by side because like Shadow Warriors look way better. I mean, they've got longbows, so whereas they've got repeater crossbows. I mean, repeater crossbows are in the main book, aren't they? But yeah, repeater crossbows aren't as good as, well, they're much of a muchness. So that's really interesting. I think, Dark Elves should feel a bit aggrieved there because Shadow Warriors seem to be a lot better for, I suppose the difference is that Shades could like hide an assassin. So you could take the ambushes special rule, pop on the table, and then when they sort of turn the unit around to deal with what looks like a pathetic unit, then an assassin pops out. But I don't think it's worth Shades are worth all those extra points just in case you can put an assassin in it. That seems a bit not sure about that. Then you've got Daughters of Cain. So witch elves are normally special. Core if you've got a hag in your army, hag queen or whatever. And Sisters of Slaughter are rare. Sisters of Slaughter are like elite versions of Daughters of Cain, fundamentally. They weren't actually in the lore, but that's what they are now. They've both got... Sisters have got this Dance of Death thing, which is a bit like War Dancers from the Wood Elves. So it's not that they can choose to do a thing. They can just reduce the maximum rank bonus of a unit that they've charged. So they get this dance thing that does affects the opponent's ability to win a round of combat. Witch elves have frenzy, and Sisters of Slaughter get impetuous. So on a 1, 2 or 3, they have to charge if they can. Witch elves always have to charge. The difference being that sisters already have the extra attack. So sisters are a bit more restrained. Sisters are open order, whereas witch elves are closed order, which is interesting because the sisters charge, they reduce the maximum rank bonus. So if they're charging a unit with only 1 rank, it doesn't matter because maximum rank bonus is 2. Yeah, so that's a bit weird. I'd just give them first charge, but whatever. I suppose if you just gave them first charge, they'll never get to use it because they'd probably get charged first. They're both loners and can only be joined by loners, like hags and stuff are loners as well. Hag queens. Harpies are like little flappy annoying skirmishers screen things. They've got 2 attacks and initiative 5. So they can do a bit of work. If there's like a lone wizard, they can go and kill it. But other than that, they're just annoying screens. Cold One Knights. Right, let's compare the Cold One Knights against Dragon Princes. Oh, there's 8 results. Oh, good. It went straight to the first to that. So, Dragon Princes are quicker, obviously. Their steeds are way worse. Dragon Princes are impetuous. These aren't. Cold Ones are stupid, which is very annoying, but they do have leadership 9, so it's unlikely to pull off to happen. Dragon Princes have 1 more attack. Oh, that's interesting. Cold One Knights are toughness 4. Oh, yeah, because the Cold One adds 1 toughness to the... I thought they'd... Yeah, sorry, I was just being thick. So these are toughness 4. So if those two like... do they both have counter charge? No. No. These have counter charge. Dragon Princes have counter charge, but they're going to get a charge off against them, so they're not. So let's say the Cold One Knights have charged into the Dragon Princes, who have themselves counter charged. They're both going to strike simultaneously, and the Dragon Princes are going to be at strength 5 against 4, but these guys have lances. They're going to be strength 6 against 3. So the Cold One Knights, if they get the charge off, seem to be a better choice so far. They've got Armoured Hide 1, heavy armor, shields. They can upgrade to full plate. That takes them to 35 points. These have already got full plate, shields and barding, so they're already at 2 up. These, in order to get 2 up, are 35, so they're 2 points more expensive for an extra attack, but 1 less toughness, and actually less strength as well, which is interesting. They've got impetuous, which means they might have to charge when they don't want to. These have stupid, which means they might just trundle forwards when they don't want to. They've both got close order. These have got dragon armor. I don't know what that does. It'll be somewhere else. Dragon princes are drilled. Both have got first charge. These guys cause fear, which is really good. Both have swift stride. These have got Valor of the Ages, Ithalmar weapons, Ithalmar barding, which means they get to reroll dangerous terrain checks, or failed dangerous terrain checks. So, yeah, actually, it's really difficult to see which one, I think, out of those two, it's really difficult to see which one's better. They both look like they've got different strengths and weaknesses, aside from the fact that the Cold One Knights have better models, I think. But anyway, it's just my opinion. Dark Riders are the light cavalry. They've got some of the abilities you'd expect light cavalry to have, although they're not quite as good as Hobgoblin Wolf Riders in terms of their flexibility, but they do have fire and flee. And obviously they've got fast cavalry, which, you know, they are. They're open order. They don't have. They do have skirmishers, so they can choose to either bunch up in open order, or they can choose to deploy and fight in skirmishes and like reform between the two, which is pretty cool. They have swift stride, which is we know what that is. That means you get to charge more. And they can take repeated crossbows and shields, so that takes them up to 19 points each. With fire and flee, takes them up to 20. So they're pretty much like a linear screen. Realistically, They're not as flexible as like Hobgoblin Wolf Cav that can sort of get there and then flee that way, and then you know what I mean. Wolf Cav seem to be a bit better, which surprises me, bearing in mind that Hobgoblin Wolf Cavalry are about 5 or 6 points cheaper. Interesting. Then you got Doomfire Warlocks. These are rare. Yeah, I think they're 1 per 1,000 points. These are pretty wicked. So they've got all the sort of stuff that you'd expect. They've got poisoned attacks, which I think is new, which is again quite cool. They don't have that many attacks though. It doesn't say poisoned attacks is rider only, so I think that applies to the mount too. So the mount has got like these dark steeds have got poisonous teeth, or hooves. I suppose that's possible, isn't it? They've also got a single spell chosen by the controlling player before armies are chosen from either dark magic or demonology. One of the spells in demonology is called like demonic power or something. Anyway, it's +1 strength, +1 attack, +1 AP. So they can make themselves strength 5, 2 attacks, AP 1 like combat buggers. They could do that one. I mean, that's 9-inch move, swift stride. They're gonna hit like a truck if you do that, and they're like cavalry as well. So they're going to be able to get around the site. They're open order as well, so they're supremely flexible. So they're going to be able to like get around the flank and then charge in after having cast that on themselves. If it's got a unit strength of 10 or more, like Cav have a unit strength of 1 each, so that's 10 models, and includes a master, that is a power level of 2. I think that demonology spell casts on like a 8, 9, 10. I don't know. Demonic Vessel cast on a 10. So if they take that spell, that's not massively reliable, is it? No, I thought that was amazing. It's probably not. I mean, they could take Demonic Familiars, which is an assailment, so that's 2d6 strength, 2 hits, no armor save. I think the point is you get to pick, don't you? Stream of Corruption, that's an assailment, but you place the flame template, so the narrow end touches the caster's base, and the broad edge is over a unit they are engaged in combat with. That could lead to some real janky, because it's only cast on an 8. So that could lead to some real janky stuff, because if you imagine you've got your unit and their unit there, but then they've got another unit over there that you want to hit, you could quite easily put the flame template in the middle, so the narrow bit covers a few of the people, but then you vomit over those guys over there. So, you know, you could do a lot of damage with that, actually. I quite like that. There's a lot of flexibility with these guys, and they're not terrifically expensive either. They're probably worthwhile taking. You've just got to make sure that the spell that they take is one that they A, can cast, and B, fits in with the rest of your army and its playstyle. And we've done Cauldron of Blood. We've done the Chariots, I think. We've done the Blood Rack Shrine. We've done the Black Dragon, Manticore. Keys, so the other monsters. So you got a War Hydra. If you take a Beastmaster thingy as a general, I mean, you can take a beastie list and these become special, so you can have half your points. You can have 5 War Hydras, which would present your opponent with a bit of an interesting challenge. It has extra attacks plus remaining wounds, which is just great. So like it starts off with 7 attacks, and remember, if you've got a Beastmaster, you can goad it for an extra D, so it could have 10 attacks. Weapon skill 4, strength 5. Oof. It's got D3 stomp attacks. Oof. It's got wicked claws, which are strength, so it'd be strength 5, AP 2. Ooh. Oh no, sorry, no, I'm being thick. Yeah, because so the additional attacks, so the 2 attacks the 2 attacks you do with the wicked claws, which are AP 2. The extra attacks you do with its heads, so they're armor bane 1, multiple wounds 2. So that's pretty nasty against monsters. It's got a flame weapon, which is pretty cool. The strength characteristic of this weapon is equal to the model's remaining. I love that. That's a brilliant rule. I love the rules for the War Hydra. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I don't know whether it's pointed right. It looks like it more or less is, but yeah, it's cool. It just works exactly how you'd expect it to work. The more battered it gets, the worse it gets, because the more heads you've lopped off. You've then got Bloodrack Medusa, which is like a monstrous creature. It's quite interesting. It's got this petrifying gaze ability, which is a bit like the one on the... Well, it's exactly the same. Strength 2. You roll against the target's initiative, not his toughness. It's got a decent range, decent ballistic skill, so you're probably going to get it. It's got a good amount of rules, like poison attacks and etc. etc. It does only have light armor. Toughness 4 though, so 4 wounds, toughness 4, reasonably survivable as like a standalone little monster thing. You got a Charybdis, which is like the other model that you can build instead of the Hydra, but it's got like inverted heads, weirdly. It's got this Abyssal Howl. That's what it's always had, which is essentially in this rendition models within 6 and -1 leadership. It's got to make 1 attack with its Cavernous Maw, which has Killing Blow, which is pretty cool. And then it's got Writhing Tentacles for the rest of its attacks. It's got 5 attacks, so it's got to make 1 with this and 4 with this. It's 195, so it's 5 points cheaper than the... I mean, the -1 leadership's cool, considering it's got Terror. So if you charge this into combat with another unit, and that unit ends up losing, they're at -2 leadership, unless they cause terror, obviously. So I think there's a strat that uses it, but like it's not as cool as the Hydra. They got the Reaper Bolt Thrower, which is the same as the High Elf Repeater Bolt Thrower. No difference really. Same points. Magic weapons. You've got Executioner's Axe, which is for... Oh God, what's his name? Every, like, the Executioners and the Blackguards had like champions in the old High Elf book. I can see their pictures. They were like black and white line art. This is in the edition where the cover was with a High Elf woman sort of screaming, wearing nothing, wielding 2 swords. Well, not nothing. She had a bra on, an armoured bra. Equality. Yeah. Anyway, Executioner's Axe, which has Killing Blow, magical attacks, strike last. Pretty good. Always wounds on 2-up, regardless of target's toughness. That's a pretty cool rule, especially if you're that dude on the dragon. Sword of Ruin, no saves. No armor, ward, or regen saves. It does only hit at your strength, so I think the highest strength character is 4. But, you know, no saves is really nasty. Life Taker is a special repeater bolt thrower. So, same stat line really, but this one's got Armor Bane. I think the normal one's got Armor Bane one, hasn't it? But this one's got more shots, because I think normal Reapers are 2. Whip of Agony. I mean, there's nothing... I don't think there's anything... Shield of Grond is kind of cool. Blood Armour. Now, this one's interesting. Suit of armour that gives its wearer an armour of 5 up. For each unsaved wound the wearer inflicts, this armour is improved by 1 to a maximum of 2 up. This armour value, I think that's broken. I'm going to call it. That is broken. You think, right, so you think you've got a Dark Elf Noble with a 5 up save. Let's give him, put him on a dragon, so he's going to cause loads of wounds. Let's put him on a dragon, give him a Sea Dragon Cloak, so he's got a 4 up save against shooting. Give him a shield, so he's got a 4 up save anyway. So you've got him up to a 4 up save. You then give him, can you give him Sword of Ruin, Life Taker, was it, which one was it? Sword of Ruin, there you go. Sword of Ruin as well, so he's going to kill stuff because you don't get any armor saves against him. So first, you get him into combat. He kills like two or 3 models in the first round of combat. He's down to a 2 up. And then the next round of combat, he kills another 3, and he's down to a -1 up. And then next round of combat, he kills 2, and he's down to a -3 up. Basically, at some point, he's failing saves only on 1s. That's too much, because it says this armor value. So it's the armor value of this, the blood armor itself. I think that needs facking so that the maximum the wearer can have is 2+. Because this one, this one a maximum of 2+. So if you give him a shield, then it goes to a 1+. If he's on a cold one, you can make him a 0+, I suppose. So if he's on a cold one, okay. I still think it's broken somehow. This and this. Pendant of Caleth. That's an ash, isn't it? AE is pronounced ash. So if you think of the word ash, Caleth. So it's the pendant of Caleth. Gives its bearer a 5+ ward save against attacks of strength 4 or lower, and a 4+ ward save. So it's like the blessing of the lady, but better. I mean, that's pretty. Combined with that, I mean, oof. What else can you give him? Are we making Malice? I think we're making Malice because that's 30, 70. Malice needs a. No, we're not making Malice because there's no like possessed by a demon, do mega damage thing. That's pretty good. Reroll hit rolls during the shooting phase. I mean, maybe not. I didn't read during the shooting phase. Hydra's Tooth is pretty good. It's a very short range missile weapon, but you know it kills specific models. They got some arcane items. Now, the Black Staff is fucking phenomenal. That's the first time I've sworn on this channel. It's absolutely amazing. Now, and I think you can get away with one F word in a PG-12 or something. Is it a 12 or something? If you do, roll an extra D6 for making a casting roll and discard of those. So it's basically unlimited power stones. Like, just amazing. That's just absolutely fantastic. This is interesting. Like, gives you a bit of extra range on a spell as a single use, and every wizard could have them if they're taking other stuff. But remember, you can only take one arcane item, so I think you're going to be looking at the Black Staff on your level 4 wizards, really. And then we've done the special rules. The weapons they've got are actually either in their entry or in the main book. So they've got 2 like default spells they can swap out for. So you've got Cursing Word, which is a hex, cast on a 9. It remains in play, so good if the opponent hasn't got wizards, bad if they have. Target enemy unit reduces their weapon skill or BS chosen by you to 1. 2-1? That's awesome. And it deletes other hexes. Okay. But, like... Oh, you know those swordmasters that were weapon skill 6? Yeah, no, 1 now. Because, like, if you do that just before you charge them, like... God, imagine that. Yeah. So, okay. Black Horrors is a vortex that remains in play. Large template. That's quite interesting. Template moves 2d6. Enemy unit the random direction. Any enemy unit the movement moves over or touches takes d6 strength tests, and for each test that's failed, it loses a single wound. That's incredible. Like, it's so big. Oh my god. Because you could just put that on a unit. In fact, you could probably put it over 2 units. Any enemy unit the moving template touches. So does it... I'm not sure... Any enemy unit... So it doesn't hurt friends. Any enemy unit the moving template touches or moves over must immediately make d6 strength tests. I don't think that works straight away. During every start of turn subphase. So you can't get rid of it straight away if you're like... So if it's been cast on you, you haven't got to the point at which you can like dispel these things. So it moves straight away. So I suppose the worst thing you could do is you could put it over 3 of their units, and then at the start of your phase it then moves, and then it hits those 3 units when it moves, but it doesn't hit them straight away, I think is how that's read. It's an interesting spell. I quite like that, actually. Cool. So that's Dark Elves. It's been like these videos are getting shorter. I'm zipping through them more quickly. I think now I'm going to return to like going through battle reports and just sort of pointing out like tactics and rules, mistakes that they've made, and the reasons why they might want to reconsider. And at some point I might go through the core factions, but somebody's already, there's lots of other better YouTubers than me who've gone through them already. I think another thing I'm going to start doing is like shorter videos where I'm like, this is how you build Marathi in so if you got the old Marathi model, this is what I recommend that you take that kind of looks a bit like rules wise old Marathi. But that's something I'm going to do, like shorter videos where I've like built a character that has sort of similar rules within the current rule set. Okay, cool. So thanks for listening. If you've got any comments, make a comment. I'm always happy to chat. If you like the video, then like the video. If you think I've earned a sub, give me a sub, and toodle pip.